the Drive Podcast. I am your host, DJ Quest One, and Shay T is not doing this segment because this is going to be a little new thing I'm doing. It's called Sports Bit. So we're going to talk about two topics today. We're going to talk about Allen Iverson, and we're going to talk about Errol Spence versus Terrance Crawford. I am excited about that fight. So let's get into it. So Allen Iverson was a great player. He averaged about 29 points a game at one point, and he made it to the finals in 2001 and lost to the Lakers against Kobe and Shaq. Rest in peace, Kobe. And I think they only won one game. But I remember game one that they beat the Lakers. The Lakers were heavily favored, and this was their back-to-back championship. There was the Lakers' second year defending their title. You know, I'm a Spurs fan. In 2000, I wish that Tim Duncan wouldn't have got hurt because the Spurs would have repeated because they had the Lakers number that year. I think they beat them 3-1, and the Lakers did not want to face them that year. But Tim Duncan got hurt. They lost to Phoenix Suns. They still had David Robinson. I remember that series. But when Tim Duncan got hurt, even Rick Fox said it. There was an article that he said they're blessed that they didn't have to face the Spurs because the Spurs had their number that year. It just so happened he got hurt, and they couldn't defend it, and they didn't go back to the finals into 2003. But going back to Allen Iverson, so he made over $200 million, and he had an entourage. He would party it up. He would gamble, and so he divorced his wife after 8 years. So he had got this contract, like a trust fund with Reebok. So Reebok gave him like $50 million, but they gave him half, and they gave him like $300,000. I'm not sure how the pay structure is, but he pretty much lost a lot of money, and he had like paid 2 mortgages after he retired. The last time he had a lot of money, the last time he made money was in 2008, 2009 when the Pistons paid him $20 million. So with that being said, I guess he didn't save, and he had an entourage. They would go on lavish vacations and stuff, and it adds up. So he owed creditors, he owed mortgages and stuff. So all that money, starts going down. So basically, what he did is, he ended up, I don't know if he's broke, but of course he wasn't making as much as he was making. But the crazy part is that Reebok will give him 32 or 30 million. No, I think it was 50 million. He's gonna get him half. He's gonna get like, I think 15, 20. 15 or 20 in 2030. So he has to wait for that, and that's a long time, but I mean that's not bad considering that he's not making the money that he used to make. So he'll get that money in 2030. Just imagine that, y'all. You have all this money you're making, and in 2030 you're like, okay, I'm having some money. And Reebok, they're awarding him. He did have N1. I think he was a part of N1. He had the AI shoes back in the days. These shoes right here, if y'all remember that. But shout out to him. And it's kind of like when the baseball players sign these contracts and they finish playing and they still get paid until the contract ends. 30 years or whatever, 20 years, whatever the contract is. But hopefully, shout out. And he's working with Al Harrington with cannabis, and he has it's called the Allen Iverson collection. So check that out, wherever it's legal and you can buy his strain of cannabis. Okay, and it's weird. He's gonna have to wait for that money, and he has 5 kids, so I'm sure he's looking forward to those millions in 2030. So we're about 7 years, 8 years, 8 years away from that. So we'll see he gets that money. Okay, changing the subject. Well, also I want to know is his kids gonna get the money? Let's say something happens to him. Do the kids get the money? That's another thing that we don't know. But save your money, and if you're a professional player, money comes and goes, and you got to remember these athletes. By the time they're in their 30s, they're already getting ready to retire, which is crazy. So, shout out to Allen Iverson, the answer. The thing was the answer, right? That's what it was. But definitely a phenomenal player. All right, changing the subject to boxing. Okay, y'all. So, Terrance Crawford is a WBO champ. Errol Spence is the WBC and WBA champ. I want to say IBF. He has, I think, 2 or 3 belts. I think he has 3 belts. So this is, if they meet, this is for the undisputed welterweight championship of, and I think it's going to be a great fight. A lot of people are picking Errol Spence. You know, some people are picking Terrance Crawford. I'm picking Terrance Crawford, but I'm gonna tell you why. 2 reasons, okay? His footwork, and he can alternate. He can be left or right. He's very crafty, and if you see what Errol Spence did to Porter, and what, I mean, not Terrance Spence, Errol Spence did to Porter, and Terrance Crawford did to Porter. Just you know, Styles makes fights, and he's very tricky. And the reason I say, because Errol Spence is very flat-footed. He comes in forward, and you know he tries to catch you on counters. But he got into a tagging match with Porter, and Porter is a shorter man, and he didn't keep the distance like he should have. He did catch him, but to me, Porter was winning most of that fight until the end. But Terrance Crawford already had figured him out. He was like, I'm gonna lay it down, and by the time it was he topped him in the 8th and 9th round, Porter was done because Terrance Crawford's got angles. So I can't wait for that fight to happen. I think it's going to be in November, December this year. And man, it's going to be exciting. Tyson said that he's got Crawford, and other people got Spence. Spence is a great champion. You know, he's been champion for the last 4 or 5 years. And this fight's been in the making, and they're both in their prime. Which I wish that Mayweather would have fought Pacquiao in 2008 versus 2015. Way overdue. You know, hope that the fight turns out good. I'm ready. I'm gonna get my popcorn ready, my brews, and I'm gonna be ready to watch that fight, y'all. All right. Tune in next time to another Sports Bites.